Day 13. Amongst the members of our society for a good time, I discovered some who were truly exemplary. Worthy of mentions are William Garliano from Poirino and Paul Bage from Chieri. They were always ready for some good recreation, but only after they had done their homework. Both were reserved and pious, and they gave me plenty of good advice. On feast days, after the practice of piety in common at the college, we used to go along to St. Anthony's Church, where the Jesuits gave marvelous catechetical instructions with plenty of stories that I still recall. During the week, the Society for a Good Time used to meet at home of one of the members to talk about religious matters. Anyone was welcome to come to these gatherings. Garliano and Bage were amongst the most conscientious. We entertained ourselves with some pleasant recreation, with discussion on religious topics, spiritual reading, and prayer. We exchanged good advice, and if there were any personal corrections, we felt we should hand out to each other, whether these were our own personal observation or criticism. We heard others make, we did that. Without realizing it, we were putting into practice the excellent adage. Blessed is he who has an advisor, and that saying of Pythagoras. If you have no friend to tell you your faults, pay an enemy to do that. Besides these friendly activities, we went to hear sermons and often went to confession and Holy Communion. Yet it is good to recall that in those days, religion was a basic part of the education system. A teacher faced instant dismissal should he make any statement unbecoming or irreligious. If this was the way teachers were treated, you can imagine how severely pupils were dealt with for any unruly conduct or scandal. We went to Holy Mass every morning. Classes began with the devout prayer of the actions and the Ave Maria. They ended with the Agimus and an Ave Maria. On feast days, all the pupils attended the college church. Before Mass, we had spiritual reading, followed by the chanting of the little office of Our Lady. Then came Mass and the explanation of the Gospel. In evening, we had further catechetical instruction and other sermon. Everyone was expected to approach the holy sacraments. To prevent the neglect of this important obligation, once a month the students had to present a card to prove that they had gone to confession. If failed to do so, he was barred from the end of the year examination, no matter how good he was at studies. The strict training produced marvelous results. Many years went by without any swearing or unbecoming words being heard. The pupils were as docile and respectful at school as they would have been at home. And it often happened that in very large classes, everyone won promotion at the end of the year. This was the case with my own classmates in the third class, humanities and rhetoric. I had the great good fortune of choosing as my regular confessor Dr. Maloria, canon of the chapter in Chieri. He always had a warm welcome for me. Indeed, he encouraged me to go to confession and communion more often, advice not too commonly given in those days. I do not remember that any of my teachers ever advised me along these lines. Those who went to confession and communion more than once a month were considered very virtuous, and many confessors would not permit it. Consequently, I have to thank my confessor if I was not led by companions into certain unfortunate pitfalls that inexperienced boys in large schools have to regret. During these 2 years, I never forgetted my friends at Muraldo. I kept in touch with them and sometimes went to visit them on Thursdays. On autumn weekends, as soon as they got wind of my arrival, they ran to meet me and always made a big fuss over me. A branch of the Society for a Good Time was started amongst them too. Those whose good conduct throughout the year recommended them were enrolled. Bad conduct, especially swearing or evil talk, warranted expulsion from the club.